Hey, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Chris Monroe, and it is my privilege to serve as superintendent. This is my 11th year as superintendent in the district. And I want to introduce the panelists here tonight who are here to share a little bit with our families about ways to access supports and information about the district. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you all who's on the screen with me today. I can see just immediately to my left, Casey O'Brien, our Director of Student Services.
Hello, welcome all. Nice to see you all. I'm glad you're here.
Samuel Rollins, our Chief of Communications.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Felicitas Perez, our MTSS Safety and Wellness Coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here.
And Assistant Superintendent Dorothy Coito.
Good evening and welcome to the new school year.
Sam's going to walk us through a bunch of information and we will be here, all of us, to answer your questions. But Sam, will you go ahead and get started?
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us here at the start of the first full week of the 2024-25 school year. We know that it's a really exciting time to start at a school, to start any school year, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming when you're trying to get kind of the big picture of what's going on at school and what's going on in the district. So every year we try to put together a little Q&A welcome back webinar where we go through school services, sort of what supports exist for students, how to get in touch with them, and then really spend as much time as we can just answering any questions that you have. We like being at your disposal to do that. You've already had the introductions for everyone. Basically, we just have a panel of people here who cover pretty much everything. Like there's very little that we won't be able to answer. And so as we go through today, if you look down at the bottom of your screen, you will see there's a little Q&A option. There's a spot where you can enter in your questions, and feel free to enter those in as we go. Some of them, the panelists will answer while I'm going through a little bit of an information presentation. And then anything that we don't answer in text, we'll answer live when I'm done with that. Should be pretty quick. We'll try to go through it fast so that we have as much time as possible for Q&A, but we might answer some of your questions in the presentation as we go. We like to start wherever possible with our goals and our beliefs for the district. And these were put together after collaboration between staff and our board of trustees. And I'm not going to read through them all right now, but basically what they amount to is we see it as our responsibility to make sure that every student has all the supports that they need and is given every opportunity to succeed so that they can reach their highest potential and go on to success and prosperity once they're done with our school system. And being a public school district, we also see it as our responsibility to support families in our community in any way that we can along that journey so that students are set up for success regardless of what they want to do. And then, yeah, a lot of our slides have the English and Spanish on the same slide, but some of them don't. So I'm going to do my best to give Jessica time to have the slides up as well while she's running translation. And this is our table of contents for what we're going to talk about today before we get into the Q&A. We're going to go over what sort of some topics that we want to cover for this year, and then a general picture of what supports exist for students and how to get into them. Basically, these are the ways that we target academic acceleration and personal growth in the school year. We'll go over our being able to offer free food and how you can help support the district in that. We're going to talk about how we're really trying to start the college and career conversation earlier this year and how families can help with that as well. We'll go over AI guidelines, which we've never really had to put together before, but we want to be sort of out in front of this issue as it begins to affect education. And so we'll talk through that thought process a little bit. We'll go over sort of the system by which we organize supports around students. That's that big long term, they're multi-tiered systems of support. I'll tell you what that is before we go into how to get academic help and what that help looks like, how to get social, emotional, and mental health help and what that looks like. We'll then also cover ways that families can get involved, both in supporting the school district, but also in adding their voice to leadership in the school district. Cover the communication channels that we'll be using and the best ways to get in touch with us if you need something. Give you a brief overview on school safety, and then touch on the ongoing bond work across the district and what you might be able to expect in terms of repair or work being done on your campus. So we're really happy to be able to offer free food to everyone this school year. Once again, we're really grateful for the National School Lunch Program and for California's participation in it. But we want our families to know that we're in a little bit of a strange position when it comes to this, where in the past, families had to apply to see if they qualified for free food. Now food is free for everyone no matter what, but we're still required to collect the applications for it because there's a lot of info, a lot of ways that we get to know our district that only comes in through that application. So our ability to get people to sign up for this service and to take this survey affects our funding in math and writing and counseling, as well as food programs. So it's a great service. We're really happy to be able to offer free food to everyone, but we really encourage all of our families to please fill out this application. It takes 4 minutes. That's how long it took me. All the information in it stays private. And but by filling it out, you essentially can help make us eligible for our full funding in all of these support areas. Plus, it's possible that you could get a discount. You could qualify for a discount on your Xfinity bill, college entrance exams, AP tests, and college apps, and all kinds of things. So if you are on a computer and you have your phone handy, you can get this QR code to go to our application. You can also always go to our website, sccs.net/food, and that'll take you to the application. Please, tell your friends. It's really important that we get people signing up or filling out the survey if they can. And we'll be sending reminders out about that as well. Okay, so this year we're looking to start the college and career conversation a bit earlier. And that isn't to get kids on a specific path as soon as possible, but really just to get students thinking about the many paths that are available out in front of them. We want our families and our students to know about our career technical education options, which actually start in middle school. These are classes that are taught by industry professionals that are both college prep courses, but also give students the opportunity to sort of see what it would be like to work in healthcare or welding or engine mechanics or biotechnology. It's a very wide range of things, and we want students to just be aware of them as early as possible so they can start, thinking about the future and kind of looking and seeing what's possible. We also are trying to start the conversation earlier to make sure that students and families know about A through G courses. These are courses that fulfill college prep requirements. And really, we just want to make sure that students and families understand what those requirements are, so they're keeping their options open regardless of what their goals are after graduation. And if you go to your high school websites, I've listed our 3 comprehensive high schools here. If you go to the high school websites, you can look at the main menu and go to either the counseling or the college tab, and you'll be able to see what our graduation requirements are, but also what college prep or college entrance requirements are as well, and which courses in the A to G sort of satisfy that. We'll talk a little bit later about a tool that we use that allows families to track that progress. But for now, we also just wanted to point out that October is College and Career Awareness Month. And so our staff is going to be talking about, what their career trajectory was, what their college experience was. And so it's a great time as well for families to talk about that. How'd you get started in your career? And just to paint that picture so that students begin to sort of see the options ahead of them as early as possible. And I'm sorry, Jessica, I did not switch over that slide as soon as I should have. And then the other thing that is new this year is basically our district's approach to AI. And what our approach is building a responsible understanding and navigation of that landscape rather than just pretending that it isn't there. Because in the last year, there's been such an explosion of tools available to the general public that, you may have heard colleges are concerned about it, education, has to contend with it essentially. And so we're really lucky that we have our tech task force, which is a group of district employees, our IT employees, teachers, and families who got together and put together staff and student guidelines for AI. We've also actually selected a tool set for middle and high school students to begin to explore while we're able to provide guidance for them sort of in adherence to the guidelines put together by our tech task force, so that they can develop an ethical understanding of these tools and how to use them, how not to use them. And we will continue to refine those guidelines as this landscape continues to change. But we wanted our families to know that, you know, we're thinking about it, we're working to get out in front of it rather than wait for guidance to come from someone else. And we sent out the guidelines that we put together in our welcome back email. But if anyone lost that, or just wants a refresher, feel free to reach out and we can get you those guidelines as well. Okay, so now we're into general supports, how to access them and what they are. Before we go into that exactly, I wanted to break open this acronym, MTSS, because it's the kind of thing that you'll probably hear, or this is the phrase that you'll hear a lot if you are engaging with at the district level. Multi-tiered systems of support is a mouthful, but really all it is a way to organize the way that we offer supports to students, essentially into three categories. Tier 1 at the bottom is our supports that exist in the classroom. This is the entire class. This is the teacher. This is instruction on a regular day. This is interacting with peers. Then, if students have a little bit more of a specific need, if they are facing a little bit more of a challenge, Tier 2 is essentially smaller group instruction. This could happen in the classroom with like learners, or it could be the student taken out of the classroom to have the opportunity to engage a little bit more deeply with that smaller ratio between student and educator. And then all the way to Tier 3, which is one-on-one, which is when a student needs more support or needs the opportunity to interact directly with an education professional. And I will say this is the way we organize supports, both academically but socially, emotionally as well, where Tier 1 is the social emotional curriculum that students engage with in the classroom, and then Tier 3 would be a one-on-one meeting with their school counselor. So that leads nicely into the question of who do you reach out to and how do you get academic help if you need it? And rather than have any kind of rigid policy on this, the best piece of advice that we can give is ask who you know. There's going to be someone at school that you're, most familiar with, that you have the strongest relationship with, or just most comfortable approaching. Go with that person. It's probably going to be your teacher or one of your teachers, but it could be your counselor, your principal, or someone in the front office. We want our families to basically not have to think too hard about it. Go to the person that you know best on campus and ask them, and they'll be able to start that process and get you in touch with help, or notify your education team about a need that a parent believes has arisen for a student. There's another one where I should have switched it a little bit earlier. And then for social emotional help, it's probably not surprising now that it's largely the same piece of advice. Reach out to who you know or who you're most comfortable reaching out to. We're incredibly grateful and privileged to be able to have licensed counselors at every one of our school sites. It's not necessarily the norm in elementary, but we're really, really happy that our community supported the parcel taxes T and U, because that is the only way that we're able to fund a licensed counselor at all of our elementary schools. And then in the secondary, we do have dedicated social emotional counselors who actually came out of the additional funding that we got when we came out of lockdown and came back to school. But even though that funding has sunsetted, we've found that this is such an indispensable support at our secondary schools, our middle and high schools, that we've kept them. So what that means is if your student needs anything, right, whether they're going through something that could be described as a crisis or dealing with anxiety, or just having difficulty with their friend group or a particularly stressful week, you can reach out. And again, the best place to reach out is whomever you're most comfortable with. The counselor's doors tend to be open, and they will talk to you if you need something. You could reach out to the front office. And then this is a place where I always also like to mention that if you just want to go to your school's website, scroll all the way down to the bottom of any page, there's a contact form. And that anything you enter there will go straight to the front office. Sometimes these are sensitive topics and you might not feel that comfortable approaching someone in person. You can always just reach out to the school directly and that'll get forwarded to the appropriate person if you have any need here that you want to reach out with. And once again, Jessica, I'm sorry, I could have switched that in the middle of talking. So again, rather than present you with rigid policy with either of these issues, with either of these needs, academic or social emotional, reach out to whoever makes the most sense to you at your school campus. So now that we've covered the how, we wanted to also paint a little bit of a clearer picture of what those supports look like if you do want or need them. And I told you about MTSS, the acronym that describes the system by which we sort of deploy those supports. I wanted to introduce you to another acronym, a person at your school site called the RTI coordinator. RTI stands for response to intervention, but all this person is, I shouldn't say all this person is, all that means is this is a certificated teacher at your school site who supports the teachers, classrooms, and students at school by tracking their academic progress and organizing and building custom supports around a student based on their academic needs. What do the supports look like? They could be interventions during the school day. And this really means just someone coming in and offering extra support, whether it's the teacher spending dedicated time with that student, the RTI coordinator, or someone else on the education team, again, organizing kids into small groups or doing one-on-one work with them. There's also some academic support periods that you can take, classes that you can take in at the high school level. There's tutoring at all of our campuses. You can check with your school counselor for the schedule there. There's credit recovery classes in high school where students can get that extra pass through curriculum. Again, these are all things that the RTI coordinator may organize around a student who needs more academic support. And then we also have a peer tutoring program that we're very excited about because it just keeps proving to be win-win, where if a student is a tutor, they get that deeper dive into curriculum where they, have a particular mastery or appetite. They can kind of go deeper into it by being, something of a teacher, but then a student who is being tutored gets the benefit of interacting with someone who has very recently engaged in the curriculum, learned it very recently, and kind of, creates that lower pressure environment where they can interact with the curriculum. We're also happy to still be able to offer summer school, which changes a little bit every year, but gives students that opportunity for, more academic time or even social emotional time at school over the summer. And again, these are just sort of the most common options that the RTI coordinator will recommend or will deploy around a student who needs or wants more academic support. Okay. There's also the counseling office, which handles both that college and career guidance, but also social and emotional support. So we do have comprehensive counseling programs at all campuses. And I mentioned before that we have the California College Guidance Initiative. I sort of alluded to this before. This is both curriculum that secondary students will interact with, but it's also a tool that gives families and students a web interface to be able to kind of track progress and set goals, but also see what the progress towards those goals looks like, so that families can kind of have their finger on the pulse of trajectory through a school. On the social emotional side, we do have social emotional learning curriculum that goes from TK to 8th grade, where students can will have this behavioral health worked into their classroom curriculum. As I said before, we do have licensed counselors at elementary and at middle and high. We have social workers at all grade levels. And we also have special counseling and even events that cover things like substance use counseling or prevention programs, sort of what the mental health fairs, behavioral health fairs, events on campus, and that sort of thing, where students can interact directly with the supports that are available. Those events and our counseling offices will also be able to refer students out to the many community support resources that we partner with, and kind of allow them to explore that and help them to navigate that. And in fact, we have sort of something a little bit new this year, which is a program that will begin to sort of create a home for that kind of guidance. And that's the last bullet on this list, which is our wellness centers. Now, our first just had its soft opening at Soquel, but we're going to have them in all of our high schools. And the wellness center is really built to be a one-stop shop for easier access to social and emotional and mental health support resources, both in campus and around the community. The idea being this is sort of a concierge, right, that guides access and helps students navigate what's available to them. They're also built to just be physically, safe and welcoming places where students can come in for relaxation or conversation, or to, kind of take a mental break from the bustle of high school. They're also places where that are connected to the counselors. So they're places where students can find connection with their social emotional counselor. And they're also built to be something of a library of resources where students can see what's available to them, again, on campus and off campus with our network of partners around the community. Okay, and we're getting close to being done before we can dive into more Q&A, but we wanted to cover sort of all the outlets there are for families to get more involved. So obviously, whatever school you're starting at this year, there is a PTA or a PTO, a parent and teacher organization, whether that's a home and school club, or there's booster clubs for sports and for arts. And these are just ways where parents can get together and help in the planning and execution of events, but also fundraising. And really, it's just a good way to get to know a lot of the other parents at your school and support your school. I really encourage you to seek out those opportunities. There will be meetings hosted by your school admin, whether that's casual coffees or something more directed. Please look at the communications that come from your principals. You can also check the calendar on your school websites, because there's a lot going on there. Your school has a school site council and a bond site committee, where parents can sort of serve as representation for the parent community and talk about, what's going well at the school, what can be improved, review the bond work that is going forward at your school site. There's English Learner Advisory Councils and District English Learner Advisory Councils, where parents can talk about what supports we have for English learners, what's working, what needs to be improved. There's a lot of district committees, the District Advisory Committee, the Green Schools Committee, the Tech Task Force that I mentioned, budget oversight committees. You can find all of that by going to our website and going to the community tab on the menu and see all the committees that we have there. And you can reach out if you want to serve on any of them. We'll let you know if there's any vacancies. You're always welcome to attend a board meeting, which we want to make sure that people understand that. We keep an up-to-date calendar of upcoming board meetings on our district website. You can always come in person or just Zoom in. Every school also has some school-specific parent groups. And if there's a group that you don't see at your school and you'd like there to be one, you can make it. And of course, I also really wanted to just kind of put the pitch in. It's great to volunteer at your school, not just to give back, but I mean, it's a great opportunity to get to know their parents at the school, get to know the staff, get to know the students. And whether that's, volunteering in the classroom, say if you're in elementary, or, volunteering at a sports game or any event that's going on campus, it's a great way to get involved, to get to know the staff and just better understand the sort of school community. It's not always easy to make the time, but it's really worth it. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. We like to kind of run through this hit list of big changes that have happened in the district in the last couple of years that have come from input from parents and students. And we do this just to really make that point of, like, when you get involved and when you tell us what you need, that really leads to change. Parents, families have a lot of ability to guide what's going on in the district. We want to make sure that you know that, so that you'll get involved and give us that input. We also are going to send out before too long our annual family survey and input survey. And we really encourage you to fill it out and, let your friends know that it's really important to fill it out because this is the kind of thing that changes when you do. We had a lot of student and family input about needing more math support, and we added more math, a dedicated math RTI coordinator at the elementary level, more summer math programs, peer tutoring, new math interventions. We heard the need for more mental and emotional support, and we added more counselors, more social workers, more trainings of all kinds, suicide prevention, sexual harassment prevention, expanded parent education opportunities. We heard the need for more college guidance, and we added more planning workshops, more college outreach onto campus. We're trying to get as many people as possible to know about that tool that I mentioned in high school that helps track progress through high school. These were needs that were communicated to us that turned into changes because enough parents wanted them. Likewise, we heard the need for more support for English learners, and we added more newcomer sections, English language development training and curriculum. We heard the need for more support programs during and after school. We expanded after school programs and after school partnerships. We got the input that campus safety was a really high priority, and we added visitor screening programs and increased security fencing and cameras and keyless card locks, smart locks that give teachers a lot more of the ability to protect their classrooms. So again, we bring this up not to say, didn't we do a good job, but to just really make that point of like, please provide that input because it translates directly to action on our part. I want to skip through this. So in terms of communication channels, we encourage you to get in touch. We recently redid all of our school site websites, and so our school staffs are able to update those much more easily. So that's always a great place to go to get up-to-date information at your school. Like I said before, they're also a great way to get in touch with us. If you scroll to the bottom of any website, you'll see that contact form that goes right to the front office. We're going to send out regular email updates, but you can always email us. And if you're not sure who you should email, you can always email me and I'll help you figure it out. My email is down there at the bottom. We will send update texts out as well. We sometimes do robocalls. That's mostly done at the school site level. And it's usually to let you know that your student has an absence. Like I said, we do send out a survey every year. We send out one main survey every year, but we also often send out just opinion surveys or, input surveys. We really encourage you to take part in those. We provide video updates pretty regularly to let you know about things that are going on around the district, and we're pretty active on social media. So if you want to follow us, that's a good way to sort of stay in touch, but you can also use that as an opportunity to message us and we'll respond. It's another way to get in touch with us if you need to. All right, now we're almost done. But we want to give everyone a good overview of school safety. Here at the start of the year, we follow pretty closely the Secret Service data that has determined that connections and relationships are actually the most effective violence prevention on campus. Not the only, but the most effective. And so we really invest a lot of time and resource into student engagement and school connectedness. This is a big part of our staff training to get kids engaged and to get them connected on campus so they feel so that they have trust and connections to the people around them. Like I said, we do have licensed counselors on every school that actually run screenings with every student starting in 3rd grade on to look for things like the markers of distress or anxiety to see if anyone needs extra support. Likewise, they do a lot. They help inform and train the rest of the staff so that they can kind of be another set of eyes looking for those markers and intervening, giving a kid support or help if they need it. We do run trainings regularly with local first responders and law enforcement and help work with them to create strategy and maintain close partnerships so that we can have a fast response, in the event of any incident. As I said before, we've invested a lot in physical security. We have smart keyless locking systems that give any teacher the ability to lock down their classroom if they need to. We've improved fencing and set up security cameras at entrance points. Our staff has a connection, a centralized communication system where we can be all on the same page with apps, an app that we have text blasts and things like that so that we can communicate across the district if we need to. And there's actually a report, an anonymous reporting tip spot on your school's website. If you go to the families tab, usually down at the bottom, it says report a concern. You can always report a concern, whether it's something like, there's a little bit of graffiti on an exterior wall, or, I'm worried about my student, or there's, someone suspicious lurking near campus. You can always enter a tip in there, and that is a monitored line. So if anything urgent comes up, we'll be notified immediately. And there's another one where I didn't change
Can I
it.
just add to something on that?
Yeah.
If there's someone suspicious lurking near campus, please call the police and us directly, and don't put it on the website,
Right,
because
I
it'll
agree.
have to go through a service before it gets to us.
Right. And then also we wanted to give a brief both thank you and update on the bond work that's going on. We want to make sure that everyone knows essentially how grateful we are, because school districts are not funded to repair or build anything on their campuses. The only way that we can do that is by seeking bonds from the community directly. And after going something close to 20 years without a bond, we're incredibly grateful for the community support for these, both to replace aging infrastructure, but also now what we're really focused on is modernization. We have a lot of classrooms that are many decades old, and as you can see around town, we're doing a lot of work across the district to update our facilities. So you can, there will be meetings and information coming out from your school site, particularly to let you know what's coming up next. But we did just, again, want to thank our community as much as we can, and we take every opportunity to do it, because in addition to facilities modernization, the other things that K&L are helping us accomplish are a really big leap forward in our sustainability program. We've got over 1,400 solar panels up around the district. The newest ones just went up over the summer at Galt. And that not only is projected to save close to $10 million across the lifespan of this of these solar panels, but also our sustainability efforts across the district have helped us reduce a huge amount of our carbon emissions. And knowing that that's such a priority for our community as well as us, it's really wonderful to be able to deliver on that with the support of this bond. And the other really exciting thing that we're able to do with this bond is to build a workforce educator housing development, which is going into the vacant lot, which we have owned for a very long time, between Gateway School, Derby Park, and Cafe Iveta on the west side on Swift Street. And so that's going to be 100 units for teachers and support staff with subsidized rents. And we're in the design and permitting process, so we're hoping to break ground in the new year. We'll see. Everything seems to move slower than you'd like it to when it comes to city permitting, but we're really excited about that. Really grateful that we have the support of the community behind it. And just a reminder that you can always go to our website to the bonds tab, and you'll be able to find information on your school and on our general facilities master plan across the district. And just make sure, yeah. So with that, I'll leave this up for a moment so that everyone else can read it. But that sort of is our big information download with everything that we think that you should know to start the school year. And with that, I'm happy to transition into our Q&A. The only other thing I'll say is thank you. Thank you for being here. It makes such a profound difference, the more we're able to all be in this together and collaborate, and your involvement, pays such incredible dividends in terms of what your students are able to get out of this school experience. So thanks for being here with us. All right, now I just need to figure out how to stop sharing my screen. All right, so I see that my colleagues have been answering questions while we've sort of gone through all that information. But if anyone has further questions, feel free to ask them, even if it's not, relating to specific things that I brought up. Now's a great time to get answers on anything that's on your mind.
I'm going to go ahead and let Joy Jacobs talk. She's raised her hand.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Excellent, thank you. Thank you for hosting this. I'm the mother of a sophomore at SoCal High, and I appreciated this webinar last year as well as this year. So thanks for hosting. I guess my question relates to the resources you mentioned, and is this webinar going to be recorded and available after the fact so we can review slides again?
Yes, that's normally our practice, and I'm not in control of the Zoom, but it does say recording, and so yeah, as soon as it's finished, we will post it, and we'll post the slide deck as well.
Okay, excellent. And then I just wanted to ask questions in terms of information on the website where we can track changes to academic policies. Is there a place? Should we go to our school site for the changes that might have impacted our students since they have, since they've gone through any policy changes that might impact their academic record? So new requirements. Yeah.
So, Joy, I'm going to show you something. This are the new board policies that I'm just going through, and they're all a result of state legislation that's happened in the last 3 months. I get these 4 times a year. Our state legislature makes lots of decisions that affect our schools and change course requirements, change all kinds of things. And you can follow that information by looking at our board meetings and our board meeting notes. It would be really tough for us to put that out every time it happened. I know that the school sites really work hard to put out information in newsletters and things like that when there are changes. But for example, there's going to be a new course requirement for the class of 2028 that's coming out of these board policies, and it's all those policies are related to state legislation. So that's following that kind of information, and then counselors will meet with students and their families and let them know if there's something that's going to impact their 4-year plan. Is that helpful? I'm sorry, it was just there's so many changes that happen all the time. It would be really, really difficult. That's why I held that up to show it, to have it all in one place. And it changes sometimes. Something that might be a decision now may get adjusted by January by the state legislature.
Yeah, so I guess maybe the answer would be to check with our the counselor, yes, would be kind of the hub of what changes might impact a student moving forward.
Right, and reading your principal's newsletters, because they're really great about putting those updates in there. But we don't have it listed in one place. We can think about where we could put a highlight. That's a good idea. It's a good suggestion, where we could highlight things that are particular to changes in academic plans. This year we have a new course requirement for 9th grade, for example.
Right, and so with something like that, generally speaking, would you say that a new requirement for ninth graders is the policy changes are from this point forward, they wouldn't be retroactive?
In that case, yes. Sometimes things become blanket requirements for everyone. It's not often that happens.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So, question about cell phone policies. I've seen a couple of those over the course of the evening. Casey, do you want to talk a little bit about our work on trying to align those policies and establish clear expectations to support student learning and success?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something we're absolutely talking about and thinking about. This year, we've been working, or last spring and into this fall, we've developed some district-wide behavioral expectations for all students, whereas before, some schools had some individualized expectations. So we're pulling those together and aligning those things. And cell phone is not yet aligned, but it's something we're absolutely talking about. We're looking around the country, we're looking at research, we're listening to local pediatricians who have a stake and are speaking with us and have written us a letter about the dangers of cell phone and screens and how students just need a break. And so we're looking at that and looking at a potential district-wide policy in the near future. But we're asking our principals to talk about that with their site councils, with their parent clubs, and things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, please inform your school, and through them, they'll inform the main office here, and we'll get that information. Since we're waiting for another question, I will add that our middle schools do have an aligned policy that's basically away for the day. So it's in a locker, in a backpack in a locker by the first bell and not taken out until the end, the bell at the end of the day. And others have policies that are similar, or they're asked to put them on the wall on pocket thingies on the wall. That's not a technical term. So that they walk in the door and they've put it in a slot, unless the teacher's asking them to use them, which happens sometimes for research or other things.
There's a question about how to get an activation link for Infinite Campus. Casey, do you know how?
If your student is new or if your student is returning, I see that in one note that it says a student is new. On our district website, it sounds like maybe you looked at that, one person, because they emailed IT support. I'll put the correct email if that's not it. But on our parent pull down, on our district website under enrollment and registration, there's some detailed instructions about how to access the parent portal, whether you're a new parent, which looks a little bit different than if you're a returning parent. So you can go under sccs.net parents_student/enrolling. So I'll put that in the chat. Do we have a chat? I'll answer the question.
There's a question about, is health required for A to G? Dorothy, do you want to go ahead and answer that one out loud?
Yeah, health is required for graduation. So though it's not going to fall under A through G requirements for college acceptance, it is a required course for graduation for the district. So in a sense, it is needed for students to take that next step to four-year college.
And it is A to G approved, so it's considered an A to G elective.
Yeah.
For our high school students. So it meets an A to G requirement in addition to a district requirement, and also meets a lot of the just really important topics that we cover to help students be prepared to be healthy and well. They're saying a link is not working. I'm not sure which link we're referring to. And can parents access Google Classrooms?
I answered that in writing. Parents cannot access Google Classrooms. That's one thing that they cannot do. You can access and check your students' grades through the Infinite Campus parent portal. But I ask my daughter and I lean over her shoulder and she shares it with me, and it's a great opportunity for us to have conversations about her assignments, her classroom expectations, and things like that. You know, I don't actually think you can. The teachers can do it. I apologize, that's not accurate. I do ask my daughter, but teachers can invite all parents in a classroom to their parent portal through Google Classroom. And so if they haven't done that and you don't get that email, you could ask your teachers. I don't know if all of them do that across the board, but I do know it's technically possible. I apologize for my first answer.
Someone's asking about syllabi. I'm assuming that those are posted in Google Classroom, and back to school night is when teachers will go over the syllabus for the course that usually contains all the information that students and parents need to know about requirements and outcomes and all of that pertinent information.
Back to school night's also a great place to ask your teachers to invite you to Google Classroom if they haven't done so already.
There's a question about having kids check their AirPods at the door. AirPods are really expensive items, and teachers aren't wanting to be responsible for those little items and them accidentally being lost. I'd really encourage your kids not to bring their AirPods to school and save them for at home. It looks like we need to send some information out to families, Sam, on how to access the parent portal. So maybe we can get that on a video with a how-to and at the end of the week. So we'll work on getting that out to you in a way that's user-friendly and will help you sign up for the Infinite Campus portal. Thank you so much for being engaged and being our partners in your children's education. It's so important. It's a question about how can you provide input on school lunches. There is a concern about them being having too much fat or sugar or carbs. And actually, just so you know, our recipes all have to meet state and federal standards that are incredibly restrictive, and they are in fact low sugar. And some of them are wrapped in plastic. We wrap them in plastic because we make the food into central kitchens and then bring them out to school sites. I was really excited that our food service staff, just a week before school started, got to participate in a culinary boot camp where we're learning a whole bunch of new recipes and getting ready to launch the school year with some new things. But you can always give us feedback either by emailing it directly to our food services director, Amy Hedrick-Farr, or sending it to me and Sam, and we'll make sure that the team gets the feedback. And yes, sometimes fruit is tossed away and surrendered by students. We have share tables and places so that that fruit doesn't get wasted, and we encourage students to eat it.
Our cafeteria staff are awfully sweet and gentle, but they're very encouraging to make sure students take their vegetables and their fruits, and they do their best to have them take that. And if at the end, unfortunately, if it doesn't get eaten, it does get composted as green waste.
Someone is asking a question about classes and changing classes and getting additional classes is at the high school level. And yes, I would make an appointment, call, email your daughter's counselor, your child's counselor about that.
I'm seeing something too about the new Metro schedule being misaligned with the dismissal time at Mission Hill. And yes, we can talk to the Metro about that. We'll follow up with them. They usually coordinate with us, but it sounds like that may be a problem right now. So we'll check with the Metro on bus schedule times. Any other questions for us?
Yay, Chris. Someone's giving a shout out to Chris for being so helpful many years ago at Santa Cruz High School.
We're here to serve and support. It's why we exist, and we are don't feel like we could have a better purpose. So we're honored to be here to serve and support students and families. And let us know what you need, and we'll do whatever we can to support you. See a raised hand. Nancy, would you like to ask a question?
¿Puede ser en español?
Sí.
Ah, tengo una pregunta con los niños que tienen el 504. Antes, bueno, cuando terminó la escuela, me iba a reunir con su consejera. Hicimos una cita, pero cuando llegué a la cita, pues lamentablemente la consejera no estuvo, ya se había ido de vacaciones. Y me entrevisté con el asistente del director, que era el señor Quevedo. Entonces, Quevedo ya no está. Entonces, no sé si lo que yo hablé con Quevedo lo informó con la consejera. Estoy un poquito como perdida en eso porque pues ya hoy fue su tercer día y ya me mandaron que había faltado a unas clases o que no, o que había llegado tarde a unas clases. Entonces, era uno de esos el problema de que él con las direcciones a veces se pierde. Entonces, me preocupa eso. Si realmente están siguiendo desde el primer día el plan del 504.
Señora, ¿usted tiene la copia del 504?
Cuando yo hablé, me dijeron que llevara la 504 y el IP, porque antes tenía IP.
Ujú.
Entonces, el año pasado pasó de IP a 504 y me dijeron que los llevara. Los llevé y me dijo Quevedo que no era necesario porque se pasaban automáticamente. Pero yo llevé las copias ese día.
So,
En-
Felicitas, can you let Nancy know that we'll connect her with the staff at SoCal High to make sure that they get their needs met?
Nosotros vamos a conectarla a usted con un personal de la escuela de SoCal High School para que usted tenga todas las preguntas contestadas.
Ay, muchas gracias.
De nada.
Gracias por venir.
Gracias.
Have another hand raised. Why would you like to ask a question? If it's a question specific to your school, I really encourage you to talk to staff at your school and we can connect you. But if it's a general question, we can also address it here.
Yo tengo una pregunta. ¿Me
Por
escuchan?
favor. ¿Pregunta?
Sí, solo si tienen posiciones ahorita abiertas para trabajar en la escuela.
She's asking if there's positions for schools.
Yes, we have jobs. Please contact our district office. Y sí tengo muchos trabajos. Por favor, habla con la oficina del distrito. Lo siento, mi español es mal, pero algunas personas aquí para ayuda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, there's a question about whether middle school kids can opt out of checking out a Chromebook.
No, it's kind of like a textbook now. And we're starting with middle school. We're asking that every middle school student check out a Chromebook because it is a tool like a pencil or a textbook. And we're going to be doing the same in high school starting next year. But our partner districts in Live Oak and SoCal, all and in San Lorenzo Valley, many of our partner districts have one-to-one Chromebooks. And what I encourage you to do if you're concerned about him using or her using it too much at home is to have them have a time where they put it in a public family place where it goes away. I have two sons that graduated from Santa Cruz City Schools, and when they were young people in school, the technology went away at 9 o'clock, and the phones went into my bedroom. Those things to make sure that we can create some safeties around that. It's also important for us to support the students in making good decisions about using technology and teaching them that. Santa Cruz High School students do use technology daily too. They use it in the classroom. There are Chrome cards in the classroom, and students are logging in and using technology on a regular basis, just like our middle schoolers are. It's a tool we all use in our work, and we're getting students ready to be ready for work.
It looks like Julie Baltasar has her hand raised.
She
Yeah,
just asked her question.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that
it
was-
is worth saying to everyone, sccs.net is our website. sccs.net/jobs is where we always post open positions. We're very regularly hiring a wide variety of things. So sccs.net/jobs should give you the full list.
Did you have an additional question? ¿Tiene una otra pregunta? The question about bringing the Chromebooks to and from school, and yes, they're being asked to bring those Chromebooks to and from school. Any other things that you'd like to ask us before we wrap up today? And please know that we're always available to answer questions via email. Your school sites are available to support you and answer your questions. And the central office exists to provide support. Allison has her hand raised.
Okay. So now you can hear me? Okay. I'm sorry I was a little bit late to this meeting and I don't know who any of you.
Wait, I did them wrong. I'm sorry. Allison, I'm sorry. That was a technical problem. I was trying to move July and I accidentally turned off your speaker.
I think it's on again now, right?
Yes.
Like I said, I was a little late to the meeting and I don't really know who anybody is, and I'd love to know who you are and what schools you're at. Just I'd like to know who you are. So maybe you could tell me that.
I'm happy to start. I'm Casey O'Brien. I'm the Director of Student Services at the district office.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
I'm Chris Monroe, and I'm the superintendent. I'm going to go ahead and just introduce you all real fast. Sam Rollins is our Chief of Communications and Community Engagement. Felicitas Perez is our Coordinator of Safety and Wellness, and Dorothy Coito is our Assistant Superintendent, and Jessica Cerna is one of our school community coordinators for Harbor High School, and she's supporting us this evening.
Okay, so you're all from the central office, so to speak, the Board of Education. You're not from specific schools. You're like
But we
okay.
support all the schools.
Yeah, great. I got the picture. Thank you.
Mhm. If someone with an iPhone name has a raised hand, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, I have a question. In case of a bullying, this case are really common on the high school. To who we go to talk? Who we will speak? To who we ask for help?
It's really, your student can go to anyone in the office, any adult for support. And as a parent, please call the assistant principal or the school counselor. And we're here to support if any student is not feeling unsafe or not feeling like they're being treated respectfully.
Okay. If that doesn't help, doesn't solve the problem, what's the next step?
You can call Casey.
All right.
I'd be
That's my
happy to help
question. Thank you.
if it doesn't get solved.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions for us? We really appreciate you spending the last hour with us this evening. And again, like I said, we're here to answer questions, provide support all year long. And even when the school sites are closed in July, we're here in July and can provide support and answer questions. So thank you for being our partners in ensuring your kids get an excellent education. We want to make sure that our schools are great places to learn and great places for community to come together. So thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great questions. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Good night.